PayKeeper,
Yes.
CEO.
Yes.
It's great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I wish we could have gotten the last couple of minutes of talking because you gave me so much life advice. Kelly, 6 kids, lovely wife, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I asked him, how does you do it with 6 kids? Because I've got 3 boys of my own.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, ask my wife. She should be the one on the show.
Oh yeah. If we're gonna talk parenting, if we're gonna talk teenage girls, we've got a 16, 17, and 19, almost 20-year-old, and so she definitely needs to be on to answer a lot of those questions.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel the same way.
It's a full house.
My wife, our 3 boys, it's crazy time all the time. Like as soon as you pick something up, there's more Nerf bullets all throughout the house.
Oh yeah, your house is probably a war zone.
It's a war zone.
A physical war zone. This is the difference. Like we've got 4 girls, 2 boys. So the girls kind of rule the house because they're the oldest. Your house is Nerf guns and
guns.
Everybody
Wrestling,
going
WWF, King of the Love Sack. That one's always fun.
Ours is like WWF of emotions and words. Nerf.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, like words fly across like Nerf guns.
The words are flying across, the yelling, the mirror. Like,
emotions,
I need my bathroom time this morning.
The cat, just the cattiness and I'm like, what are we even talking about? Oh, they took the Pop-Tarts. We're out of Pop-Tarts.
That's so funny. That's awesome. So, so you're telling me before that, give me like 30 seconds. What does PayKeeper do really quick?
Yeah,
and I'll ask my question.
PayKeeper's an escrow company fundamentally, but our software allows contractors, in solar, we've been in solar for a little while, and so contractors can create escrow accounts so the homeowners can put money in and then the contractors can be paid timely so the customer can't hold money back to complain. Yeah. So we've been doing that for solar installers. And then for solar sales companies, we can escrow commissions.
Gotcha.
So lenders can pay directly into escrow for the job, and then it doesn't have to go to the installer. So you don't risk not getting paid because they spent your commission, they went out of business, something happened. We keep that commission safe until the project is done, then we pay you directly.
Gotcha. So basically it's escrow. It helps the solar industry in these times. You said that the way you got into this is you've kind of been in the construction lending, financing for 20 years. Tell me more about that. Let's get into some details.
Yeah, so we've had a partner and I, we started a construction lending company back right after September 11th. This dates me a little bit.
Okay.
But, and nobody was really doing it. It was kind of new back then. The mortgage industry has gone through a lot of regulations since then.
Yes, it has.
But we lent, we had an office in Boise, Denver, Phoenix, Salt Lake, so the Intermountain West.
Mountain West, okay.
And we were lending on new home construction, custom homes.
More expensive.
Yeah, more expensive. A lot more complicated than a solar project, right?
Yes,
we're doing a lot of disbursements. We're paying subs and suppliers directly. We're doing inspections on homes and things like that. So, we went through 2008, 2009, the Great Recession.
The Great Recession.
Which was like for construction lending, it was like being a restaurant in COVID. It was like ground zero of that. And
with what we've gone through over the last year, just in the solar industry, a lot of companies have struggled. We've seen a lot of solar companies recently go out of business, struggling to find finance, right? How does that compare to what you saw with construction in general back in 08 and 09?
Well, there are a few common threads that we see. Back in 2008, we saw that money was given to contractors to build homes up front.
Okay.
And there was not controls. It wasn't that, hey, you dig the hole, pour the concrete, and I'll pay your subcontractor directly for that work. No, it was give it to the contractor. And instead of paying that bill, he goes to buy some land to do the next home to scale. And it just creates this downward spiral of cash flow. And we've seen that with M1s, haven't we? Like lenders have given M1s. Everybody's been paid up front.
Yep.
And we've used that money to grow.
Yes.
And to scale. We've gone from doing 50 jobs a month to 500 to 1,000 and buy off of these M1s. And what happens when we see any sales deceleration like we saw in 2023 with interest rates going up is that, now I don't have new M1s.
No more M1s.
And so now my cash flow is significantly at risk.
At risk. And then on top of that, financiers are like, oh, by the way, we're not paying M1s anymore.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to take away those M1s. So now we gotta survive on doing the work first and then getting paid. And that's been a tough transition.
Back in 08, 09, when there was that similarity with the housing market crash, did that affect, like, a lot of companies going out of business, just like today?
A lot of companies, a lot of contractors went out of business. A lot of banks failed because, and in fact, you could see the ones that paid contractors directly and then relied on them to pay all their bills, they're the ones that suffered. The ones that, like our company, we paid subs and suppliers directly as progress was made. Well, sure, did we have problems? Yeah, because home values went down a lot.
Okay.
So, but our projects were still intact.
They're still intact because people are still getting paid.
Because our money went to our projects, not who knows where.
Yeah.
And so we were able to survive. And so I think you see that now is if we can, as an industry, the more payments directly when work is completed, the more everything is in line. Financials are in line for EPCs, sales companies, and everything.
Gotcha. And what did you see back then, besides just the escrow, best practices of the companies who did make it through to 2010, 11, 12, 14, make it out of that crisis?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the ones who didn't grow at all cost.
Grow at all costs.
That's very risky.
That's so wise.
And some do it.
So wise.
But I think the ones who realize that growth is just one of the pillars of their business, and also having healthy financials is a pillar of their business, also having good SOPs and good policies and procedures and doing things the right way.
Combination,
you know,
of the
so that sales and operations coexist together instead of sales dictating how the company is run.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a correlation to what we see today. We see these solar companies and they're like, hey, solar's great, there's lots of money, I'm gonna start this company, and how many accounts are you gonna sell this month? As many as we can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sounds like back then, like it wasn't controlled growth. It was growth at all costs. And we saw that banking crisis happens, no more M1s, these companies went out of business, right?
Yep.
But you said back in 2008, 2009, the healthy companies that survived, controlled growth, SOPs, smart with their financing, even when they're on top, and even more dedicated to that when the crisis happened.
Yeah, and those that had a healthy capital structure, you know, those that brought in capital to grow instead of relying on the next project or the next one after that's money now to grow. That really made a big difference.
Words of wisdom with what we're seeing today.
Yeah.
And then when the companies made it through, right, and the housing market had corrected, what did you see those companies out of that?
Oh, well, then, I mean, when you survive the tough times, you have built this now foundation that can survive in bad times. Okay, like right now, if you think, hey, the ones that are surviving right now in a high interest rate environment, we have the policies, the procedures, this great foundation. What's going to happen when interest rates go back down? They're going to do great. They're set up now for a great bull market again. And so it's like building a house, you know, the wise words of building a strong foundation. Yep. It applies here.
Build it upon the rock.
Yeah, have a great foundation. And then when the times are bad, you survive. And when the times are good, man, you kill it.
I love that. Probably the same way that you've been able to build your family.
Yeah.
Having 3 girls at those ages, right? 3?
Yeah, 4 girls.
4 girls
actually,
at those teenage, college-age girls, like building that foundation. But if these companies can build those foundations today, they survive it, they're set for the future when the interest rates come down, when the money starts flowing again. Do they change their policies or do they keep them the same to prepare?
Well, you've got to be nimble. I mean, when interest rates are super low and we're offering financing at you know, bought down into 1.9% or, you know, up to 3%, whatever it is, you can't your whole business model can't rely on that financing being low, because as soon as it goes up, you're at risk. So build it so where you can succeed at 6%, you can succeed at 4%, you can succeed anytime. Then you can weather these interest rate risks, because, you know, these cycles happen, and I don't think since solar has really become mainstream, let's say, you know, 2013, 14, 15, well, we've had this long period where interest rates have been low. We, as an industry, have not seen when inflation's gone up, interest rates have gone up. So this is our first cycle, really, as an industry.
Awesome.
And a lot of things we're having to solve a lot of things that we didn't even know we had to solve.
Yep. What's your outlook for the solar industry?
Oh, I think it's great. We've got a lot of visibility on incentives and tax credits. We are weathering through some of these problems, and necessity is the mother of invention, right? Like when we go through some tough times, that's when the problem solvers come out and say, hey, we can do it this way, we can do it this way, it's okay. And through that problem solving, we're just gonna be just fine.
Tough times, what's the saying? They make tough people?
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Easy times make weak people?
Yeah.
So these tough times are making great people.
Yeah.
What do you say along those lines of tough times make tough people to that struggling solar rep who, 2 years ago, they were brand new, they killed it. This last year, they struggled. They're thinking, I might need to leave the industry, go somewhere else, get a different job. Or somebody who just entered it, and they're like, man, this is too hard, I can't do it. Like, what do you say to that rep?
I think, to use sports, I love sports. You always hear this in every wise coach, right? Don't get too high, don't get too low. Because your best week, it could have been because interest rates were low. It might not because it was your effort, right? I'm a cyclist, and if I'm on my Strava and I'm looking at my personal records, sometimes I got the wind behind me. And it's not because I'm actually giving my maximum effort, but I had my best time.
Okay.
And sometimes I got the wind in front of me, and a headwind, and actually I'm pedaling way harder than before, and I'm doing even better. I'm more fit.
So much more resistance.
But my time's not going to be as good. That's okay. I'm still getting more fit and becoming better because of that effort. And I would say concentrate on that effort, get better as a sales rep, learn the industry more, become more involved in the industry. Like, learn not only your lane, learn other lane, learn what your installer goes through, learn finance, learn the technology platforms, because that's just going to make you have this bigger and stronger foundation when times get better.
I love that. That's really good. I think that the not giving up, work harder, and learn more than just your lane.
Yeah.
Understand more of it is going to give you more arrows in your quiver when you're in that home, right?
Yeah, and I'll give a plug to the newly formed Residential Solar Association, right? It's a nonprofit.
Are you a member?
I am. I'm
I
on
was
the
there
board.
the last 2 days.
Okay, cool. You were there at the summit. So, that organization it's a nonprofit. It's made to level up the industry, right?
It's so cool.
All the sales guys out there, join the RSA. Understand what's going on in the industry. Get
contribute,
tuned in.
but not just join. Like, actually contribute your time and any advice. Like, we can all learn.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting paid there.
Right.
Right. Like, we had an awesome 2 days of collaboration, seeing so many different CEOs, like competitors every other day of the year, come together to try to up-level solar and make it what it can be, what it was, what it can be.
And now's the time to do that.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And so, with objections, I'm going to do one more for the sales reps out there. When we get that objection, we're in a home and a customer says, hey, these interest rates are too high, they're not what I want, or something around financing. You've got your finance background. How do we answer that? Like a financing, banking, interest rate objection.
Well, I think interest rates, none of us are controlling the interest rates, right? So they are what they are. And just like, the mortgage industry and the real estate industry, they have that same problem, right? They could be at 10%. And this home now, the monthly payment is going to be super expensive. Well, you can't focus so much on that monthly payment and the price that's the sole factor they're making their decision on. If it's a home, you got to sell them on why this home's great, and you got to let them picture themselves in that home and grow that emotional attachment to it. And I think with solar, we've got to start pointing out the other benefits other than just that monthly payment. Because then we are hitching our wagon solely to interest rates, and we're going to rise and fall as those interest rates do.
Exactly. And we saw that going back to RSA, so many of the benefits were talked about. Yeah. It was like, hey, we can't ignore what's gone on with the interest rates, but solar's so much more than just the interest rates and the financing and saving money. Like, it's the future, it's independence from the grid. And there was so much focus around that RSA. And I go back to, hey, we all got to get on board with that. And so, really quick, one more plug for PayKeeper. Tell us again, one more time, what do you do? How does it benefit the listeners? How does it benefit the solar companies, and how does it benefit the customer?
Yeah, we are. I'll just focus on the commissions because I think that's what's on everyone's mind.
Everyone listening to this podcast for sure.
Yeah, and I think we've had a problem in the industry that commissions are paid by the installer. And there's a problem when, just like what we're talking about, when we give all the money to the installer and put all that burden on them to pay all their bills of material, the sales commissions, and when they're struggling now and they're short on cash flow, they got to choose. They got to make those choices. And so we can step in as the escrow account. The lender can pay us directly, and now the EPC only gets their portion, materials gets their portion, and the sales company can get paid directly. And it doesn't matter if the EPC's struggling business-wise. They know if the job gets done, they get paid directly. So it just takes the risk out of that commissions scenario. And as a sales company, your lifeblood are your reps. And if they don't get paid, they're not going to be there.
They're not going to be there. How many of us have heard the horror stories of I didn't get paid, right? I think Sam gets calls weekly, if not daily, on I'm not getting paid by my company. Who should I go work for? Who can I go that's going to pay me my solar commissions?
Who's going to be solid? Well, I would look, if you're asking me, I would look for those sales companies who have their commissions escrowed, because that's a guaranteed payment.
It's guaranteed payment. I love it. Kelly, it's been awesome.
Yeah.
We should do it again.
Thanks for having me.
Where can we find you?
You can find us at paykeeper.com.
Okay.
Or you can find us just kitty corner back here at the show.
Just at the show?
Yeah.
Next year. It's not live today, but you'll be here next year.
Okay.
Any social media handles?
You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok,
awesome.
PayKeeper. We're the only PayKeeper out there.
Go find them. Love you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.